We're back for another live. It's a live time for the bundle event. We've got the vegan health bundle going on right now. Link is in my bio here on Instagram or in the description box below if you're watching on YouTube. Go check out the bundle. We've got nearly $5,600 worth of content that you get to download when you pay the $49 fee. The $49 fee gets you access to all the files. You can download anything you want. You can download it all, or you can download some things. You download what you want from the bundle. Nate and I have contributed 8 different things to this bundle. And our guest today, Carrie, Meals First, and she's going to join us today. We're going to be talking about adding more plants into your diet. So I'm excited to chat with her. Hello! So good to see you, and I'm so glad that we can connect. Thank you for joining me today.
Likewise, thank you for having me. I cannot even tell you how excited and honored I am to have this opportunity to work with you. It's so cool to see all these different people that are genuinely interested in helping people eat healthier and take care of their own health and come at it from all these different amazing angles so that truly as an individual, no matter what you struggle with, there is an answer in this bundle to help you out, which I'm really excited about.
We're so happy that you joined this year, and yeah, I'm really excited to chat with you. I have some questions for you today. First up, I would like you to share, because we've never met, so this is kind of like our first time meeting, but I'd like you to share a little bit about who you are and your journey into the whole food, plant-based vegan world.
Yeah, so I started to get excited about nutrition when I was in high school. I was a swimmer and I had a coach that would ask us to eat different things before different events. And I was like really fascinated with how my performance changed based on what I ate the day before. So it just kind of got me thinking, and I ended up in college. I thought I was going to go to medical school, but I really wanted to do nutrition and ended up making my coursework mostly nutrition classes, kind of picking and choosing because there wasn't a nutrition major. But I got to my senior year of college and I realized that nutrition still really wasn't part of medicine. So I ended up going to graduate school and doing my PhD, knowing that I wanted to work with people and health. And in between college and graduate school, I spent a summer as an intern in Washington, D.C. at the National Cancer Institute with the 5-a-day program. And I read grants for what was then, the promotion of eating 5 fruits and vegetables a day. And again, it just kind of like hit this light in my head. We see, especially now in this day and age, right? We're constantly inundated with quick fixes and fad diets and supplements that you need to take that will cure everything. And I think if we could start learning at a younger age that if we eat fresh fruits and vegetables most of the time, some of these things can be avoided. And if not avoided, prevented, right? And it's also just the most affordable way to take care of your health. So I did my graduate work. I did a bunch of different pathways and ended up eventually setting up nutrition and garden programs throughout Northern California and connecting farmers with elementary schools and looking at how the increase in fruit and vegetable consumption impacted children and their families. And I just fell in love. Worked with the food stamps program for a while, and then stopped, became a mom, and took off some time. And again, I was like amazed with how much misinformation I was getting and how scary it can be to raise kids in this world and constantly wonder, like, if I give them this yogurt, do they need DHA? If I give them this yogurt with extra vitamin C in it, is it what they really need? All those questions. And talking to myself and my fellow moms, when you go to the pediatrician, right, in an hour, you have so many things that you need to cover that even if your pediatrician knows about nutrition, because not all pediatricians have the time to learn about that, they may not have the time in the appointment because they need to cover all these other things. So I became really passionate about educating women and adults, and then especially caregivers, right, on how to feed their families well and how important it is to get all of us back in the kitchen, to make family meals a priority, put them first, and eat more whole foods at home more often.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. I love that. And I love the title of your book, Family Meals First.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really like that title. It's so impactful because you're right. In today's age, it's so easy to just go out and get convenience food, eat what
Yes.
everyone else is eating. You know, it's so available and it's so widely accepted that we just do it and it's default. And because it's default, it's become habit. And now, like, trying to break out of the habit can be even more challenging as well, because not only is it easy and acceptable, but we're so used to it. So it's like battling that is so challenging. So what other challenges would you say people come into when they're trying to add more plants at home, for families and even just themselves?
I mean, I think time is such a big issue, right? We're all battling time, right? All of the time. We can only have so many parties. So that's, big family meals, one of those first priorities, right? But I think, again, as you have shown time and time again with your work, I mean, I constantly love looking at all of the beautiful colors of your food. It just makes my heart so happy. But
Oh, thank you.
yeah, I mean, your work and so many other people that have contributed to this bundle, it really goes to show that with minimal planning, you can save yourself so much time, so much money, right? And so much just energy in general, right? Like with a little bit of planning. I mean, I will tell you Friday night, for example. So I have 4 kids. They're 17, 15, 13, and 9. So my
Wow.
my life is currently filled with lots of sporting events and after school activities and lots of joy. I would not trade it for the world. For us, it's great. But Friday night we finished a swim meet at 7:30 and we were 45 minutes away. And I was thinking like, dinner. And of course, I've got 2 hungry teenagers in the car that just want to stop for fast food, right? And I was like, no, guys, you know what? I have whole wheat pasta at home. I've got our favorite sauce. I've got a frozen vegetable in there and some apples. And I was able to get dinner on the table in 10 minutes when we got home. And we could sit down as a family of 6 rather than 3 of us eating and 3 of us eating somewhere else. I mean, all in all, it was just the best experience. And then my older kids even appreciated the fact that they could come home and relax and hang out with the family rather than eating in the car and then going onto their own devices, right? Little changes like that can make a huge difference. And if I hadn't taken that time, when we went to the grocery store last week and just stocked up on those simple ingredients, like I said, I mean, jarred, no sodium, no added sugar pasta sauce and whole grain pasta is such an easy thing to pick up, especially when it's on sale, and have that in the pantry. So when you have a night like that or a long day or you're not feeling well, you can pull together a meal like that so quickly and so easily.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the bigger challenges is the time and fitting it in. Like, what would you say would be a tip for somebody who's in that kind of a situation for actually making the choice? Because that's like, we want to go home and make the meal and we want to eat healthier and we want to have a family meal. But when you're in that moment, when, the kids are asking for takeout, you're tired and stressed and all of these emotions are floating around. What is it that helps you to make that choice? Like to actually say, no, we're going home, and you actually just do it. What is your secret to that?
I mean, the biggest driver for me, honestly, is health, right? Like health for myself and health for my kids. Like I want to be 75 and running still, right? Or really, I want to be 75 and tap dancing, to be totally honest.
Exactly, right?
But that desire to be able to live life very full and have the energy to do the things that I want on my own, but also to be able to do those things with my kids. And maybe even someday I'll be blessed with grandkids, but whatever it looks like, right? We never know what our life's going to look like, but I want to have the energy to be able to live my life to full life and not be impacted by some of these chronic illnesses that can, in some cases, be avoided. I'm not saying that, if you eat healthy, there is 100% guarantee that you will never get sick, but you can have some control over your life experiences. And I think that's important to remember. And it's important to model to our kids and to our extended family that, I am going to take care of my health. And I think that people pick up on that, right? That you're worth it. We all are worth it.
Yes, I love that you said that. And I love that you brought up the fact that it's like, it's not a guarantee. Because when you're on social media, and this is something that kind of irks me a little bit about social media, is that people put these like absolutes and guarantees and these claims on the diet. So, you know, like people are like, oh, if you're a raw vegan, you're never going to age. You're never going to get sick. And if you do get sick or you have like one wrinkle or whatever, it's like, oh, well, the raw diet doesn't work. You know, so it's almost like a justification to keep doing what they're doing, or, you know, it's still, there's a lot of judgment out there. And so the guarantees and the absolutes, they sell really well.
They do.
Sell well, go viral, they get people hooked, but that's not the reality. We're all human beings.
Yes.
We all are moving through life. We all have different levels of stress. Like you have 4 kids, you know, we've got our business that is like having 4 kids. You know, like, right? So like everybody has their own levels of stress in their life and the things that they want to do. And there's no guarantee that we can be 100% pure and perfect and healthy. And I think that there's kind of like a mindset that comes along with that, the purity mindset. And, you know, if they're let down or they don't heal in time or whatever, like they feel guilty, they're gaslit, they're not doing it good enough, they're not doing it long enough, they're, you know, and it's like just learning to accept our bodies, how they are in this moment, whether you're healed or not, is so powerful, because then you can say, I'm just supporting my body to the best of my ability. Right. And everyone's ability is different. Like some people can't afford to eat certain things, you know, like tropical fruit out of season if they're living in Canada. It's really challenging to do certain things. So it's about doing the best that you can when you are trying to add more healthy foods to your life. And I wanted to ask you about nutritional balance. Like how could somebody who's moving over, say they're new to the lifestyle and they're like, I want to add more plants, but you know, I don't know if I'm going to be missing something. Like, how would you help to navigate that?
So my, and I have to tell you, I love that you said that, because I think that's so important to remember. It's not about shaming. It's not about guilt. It's not about having a perfect diet. It's just doing the best that we can at any given time to eat well. And it's not going to be perfect. Everybody's going to be different. So, but yeah, I think if you're switching to eat more plants, I would say take it slow. You know, adding plants is going to have benefits. So start out slow. And maybe for someone that means adding 1 fruit a day, right? Can you commit to adding 1 fruit a day for a week? That would be amazing. And it doesn't have to be an organic fruit. It doesn't have to be a tropical fruit. I mean, we're talking, it could be an apple, a banana, an orange. Make commitments like that, things that you can stick with, things that you can help you feel it out so that it doesn't feel like you're deprived, right? Because the reality is, healthy eating is a marathon, right? It's not a sprint. And if you rush into it, you are going to feel overwhelmed, because any change, I mean, I know even, you know, when we change the seasons, when I go from summer with my kids to the school year, you know, change is hard. So there is no rush. There is time. I think protein is something really important to remember to get enough of. I know this is something that as vegans, we get questioned about all the time. I never feel like I'm falling short on protein, but I think for someone that is transitioning, it can be maybe challenging at first, because if you're used to eating meat is your source of protein, then you've got to make a switch to some more plant-based proteins. But there are so many out there. So if you set up your plate similar to how you would if meat were the center, if you made, you know, a plant-based source of protein, whether that be beans or tofu or chickpeas or lentils, there's so many great ideas out there. And I think at first too, it's okay to explore some of the healthier plant meats, right? Just to kind of transition, right? I think it's best to go whole food, plant-based. But I think, again, it would be really hard to go from eating a standard American diet all of a sudden to eating whole food, plant-based. You're not setting yourself up for success. And then it is important to make sure that you're getting the nutrients that you need. I think it's so important to check in with your healthcare provider before you make any dietary change. As vegans, we know B12 is extremely important, but be open and honest with your doctor about what you're doing, and they will provide you guidelines, and they can also do some really simple blood tests to make sure that you're not deficient in things like iron or vitamin D. Those can also be really important. And the other thing is iodine has become really important, which is so interesting. I personally use iodized salt. so that, I don't cook with a ton of salt, but when I do, I used iodine salt, and my iodine levels have been totally fine. I haven't had any problems. But if you do make the switch, that's something to be conscious of. And again, ask your doctor and just be very open with them about the fact that you want to make this diet, but be firm in your stance, right? That, you know, making some smart, educated choices, as long as there's some thought going into it, you can do amazing things for yourself.
Yeah, I agree totally. I know it's so important to take it slow, like you said, for two reasons. Number one is everybody's gut microbiome is different, especially like you said, if you're coming from a standard North American diet where you're eating super low fiber, like the average North American's eating what, 5 to 15 grams of fiber a day. And the RDA is already, in my opinion, pretty pitiful at 30 grams.
It is.
30 grams is like the bare minimum in my books. But Nate and I eat around like 85 to 100 grams of fiber a day in our raw diet.
Yeah.
And it takes time. Like you can't go from 5 grams of fiber a day to 100 grams of fiber a day. It's going to be very uncomfortable. So, when people are like, well, is a vegan diet or a raw diet ideal for everybody? I'm like, well, in the same breath, I say, yes, it's ideal. But at the same time, it depends on how your gut is, like how slow you have to get into it, how you need to take that time. And the second thing is going slow is learning that shifting any habit, whether that be adding more exercise or getting your sleep on point or changing your diet or whatever, any habit is going to take time to build. And it's funny to me how we understand that learning a new language takes time. And to learn a new language, you learn like one new word a day, or you learn a couple new words, this week, or you learn a sentence and you practice that for a week or two. And then you can add on another word or learn to conjugate the verbs or whatever. Same with a musical instrument. You can't pick up a guitar and play in a rock band, overnight. Like you need to learn the chords, you need to learn the notes, you need to learn how to hold the guitar. Like you need to learn these basic things. And we understand that those things take time. So why do we have to put this pressure on ourselves to have our diet changed perfect overnight? Or all of a sudden we have this perfect sleep schedule, we have to put the same grace that we give ourselves for learning a new language or learning a new skill or learning a new hobby or an instrument. We have to put the same grace on diet and habit changes because they take time, and we can't know it all. I mean, you and I don't know it all. We're always evolving, we're always changing. And as new science comes in, we're learning different things about the human body. So there's no perfect. And that's why I love that they call it a yoga practice.
Yes.
Because it's not a yoga perfect, it's a yoga practice. So it's not a health perfect, it's a health practice.
Yes.
So we're practicing every day to make these choices to become the person that we are envisioning. What does that person do every day? If we want to be a vegan, what does a vegan do every day? They choose vegan foods. So, we got to do that today. We got to do today what we want for tomorrow. So, yeah, that's a really good point that you make about the nutrition. So important to check in with your blood test because not everybody needs to supplement as well, right? Like sometimes you're getting it just adequate enough from your diet and you don't need to supplement. And I've had quite a few people in my DMs asking about like, what do you do for supplements? And I personally don't take any at this time because my blood tests show I'm fine.
Yeah.
So I was like, supplement is a supplement. Like it's not meant to replace the food that you eat. It's meant to supplement and to help you out if you need some or whatever it is. Like, and yes, talk to your practitioner, make sure that, they're on the same page as you and that kind of thing. So yeah, definitely. It's challenging because, living in this world, there's so much stuff and there's so much noise. So just narrowing it down to doing one thing at a time and working on that one thing, getting good at that one thing, and then, adding another thing in, watching these lives, getting the bundle, which by the way, can you share a little bit about your ebook that is in the bundle?
Yeah, so it's family meals first, so it's family-friendly recipes. Again, I think, if you can, as a family, start eating when your kids are little, healthy, homemade, plant-forward meals, even if it's not 100% plant-based, plant-forward meals, and more importantly, getting your kids in the kitchen to help you make those meals and teaching them how to prepare food That is a lost art in today's day and age. And kids are not learning how to prepare food. And so, how can we expect them as adults all of a sudden to make a shift to eating at home more often when they don't even know how to go to the grocery store to get ingredients to prepare a meal? So, yeah, so all of my recipes are really easy to make. I am not a trained chef at all. I am totally homemade home cook. And so they're simple, they're easy, and they're family friendly. So, I, a long time ago, decided that I wasn't going to worry about how evenly cut my vegetables were and any of my things. And, it's so fun to have my kids come into the kitchen and help me, grate things or shred things or peel or cut. It's a really good time to connect. And I will tell you, the best conversations that I have with my kids and even my husband, to be totally honest, are when we're doing something else, right? When you're staring at someone directly, it's hard to say certain things, right? So it just creates that space. So that's my contribution is family friendly meals and breakfasts and lunches and dinners. Because that's the other thing, like we were saying, it doesn't have to be perfect, right? So these are not Pinterest worthy meals. These are like, hearty meals. The photos are pretty. I'm not going to lie. but they're meals that you can pull together quickly and get on the table and enjoy as a family. And they're going to nourish you really well.
Mm-hmm. I love that you said that about getting the kids in the kitchen and how it is a lost art, because I totally agree. It's so incredible how disconnected we are in general with our food. Like the parents are disconnected, so now the kids get disconnected and then they don't learn. And, people will say like, oh, I want to teach my kids how to eat healthier, or how do I get them to eat this meal? If you can get your kids involved, like you said, get them in the grocery store, have them pick the bell pepper, have them pick whatever it is, and teach them how to pick a ripe one and all this kind of stuff. Because when they get involved in it, or even having them choose the meal, like give them 2 or 3 choices and be like, which one do you want to make tonight? Let's go to the store and buy the ingredients. They feel like they're involved. It's not just they're being served some random thing that maybe they don't feel like that night and they didn't have any connection with it. So then they become more disconnected with their food. And it's so important to get connected. And I love that you said like you have some of the best conversations in the kitchen. And Nate and I too, we have some great conversations when we're in there hanging out together. And
Yeah.
so amazing, so amazing. I wanted to ask also, what are some of your family's favorite meals? Like from the young ones to the teenagers, to you and your hubby. Like, what are some of your favorite meals
So
that you guys make?
big fans of tacos, so we love doing taco night. Yes, tacos are a big. I have an instant pot refried bean recipe that I love making. But we do tacos with lentils. We do tacos with tofu. Sometimes, when I'm really in a rush, I'll just do a can of refried beans, right? And that's okay, right? I would still much rather have a can of refried beans and some tortillas and make a burrito at home than I would getting it from fast food, right? So, give yourself grace. It's not about being perfect. It's about doing the best you can at the time. So, we also, pasta is always a huge hit in our house. So, we love doing that. My kids are big fans of lentils that we do just kind of like a quick lentil stew a lot. Yeah, just very simple, but, nutritious. I always serve fresh fruit at every meal, and a steamed vegetable. And that's always also good too. My kids know that they're going to get those 2 things. So then when I do try a new recipe and they're not so sure about it, especially when they were younger, they always knew that they were going to get this fresh fruit and vegetable so they could fill up on that, right? So it was a little less daunting. So then if they just tried a little bit of what we were eating, then, that was okay. So, yeah. Lots of different, and I love what you were saying about the grocery store too. I don't do it as much anymore because my kids are older, but when they were younger, I'd let them go through the produce aisle and say, pick a fresh fruit and vegetable that you want to try, and some things were harder. Like we got star fruit one time and I'll be honest, I didn't know what to do with it. But mango is something that I didn't grow up with. And I honestly nowadays cannot buy enough mango to keep my kids fed.
I know,
I feel like it's so good. I feel like I'm constantly chopping it and I feel so good about feeding my kids mango, right? Like it's just so fresh, so delicious. If I put frozen mango in a smoothie, they'll gobble it up no matter what else I put in there. So, yeah, your kids are so smart and they're curious too, which I think we lose that curiosity as adults sometimes. So, letting them have control and letting them kind of guide you can be really fun and exciting.
I love that you said that about the mangoes, because same here. I never grew up with mangoes because I grew up in Canada,
Yeah.
and mangoes up there are like $7 each. So it's like
Yes.
they were like once in a blue moon kind of a thing. And another thing that I grew up with, like I had mentioned earlier, like all the diet culture. I was really in, even in the natural health industry, there's a lot of diet culture
Mm-hmm.
ideas that still stick around. It's like, even though you're eating fruits and vegetables, right, there's still like that lingering calorie restriction and,
Yes.
extreme protocols and detoxes, like hardcore stuff and everything. And I was stuck in the sugar is bad
Yeah.
kind of a realm that I grew up with.
Yeah.
So for me, like looking at a mango, I remember, so I went raw in 2014, but I learned about raw in 2004.
Okay.
So I had a whole decade where I
Yeah.
kind of played around with raw, and I'd have some days raw, and I think the longest I went was about 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time it'd be a couple days, and then I would go back to eating whatever I was, junk and stuff. But I remember one time during that period, and another side note, this is why I think these bundles are so valuable, because I wish I had something like this when I first started,
Yes.
so that I could learn a lot more, because I learned a lot by trial and error. And I remember one day I was really stressed out, and I grabbed some oranges and I ate like 4 oranges at one time.
Yeah.
And I remember feeling guilty that I ate so much sugar. And now looking back, I'm like, I can't believe I did. Like, I thought that,
Yeah.
because, having 4 oranges now for a snack is kind of a normal thing. Or, having a whole entire mango for a snack. Like my old self would be like, that's way too much sugar, it's not good or
Yeah.
whatever. Now I can eat like 3 of them.
Yes.
No problem. But yeah, what would you say to somebody who has those like diet culture fears? Like, it's too much sugar, or, we need animal products to survive. Like, we can't do
Yes.
it on plants, or plants are trying to kill us. Like, what would you say to people who have fears around adding more plants to their diet?
I mean, I think I think in today's day and age, it's hard to deny the fact that there's more and more research coming out showing that the people that live the longest eat a diet that's predominantly from plants, right? If they eat animal products, it's just in really small amounts. And that is how we were meant to be, right? So I think I agree. I've only been vegan for 5 years. And I also, as a nutritionist was like, I'm a small woman. I've got to worry about my calcium and I've got to worry about all of these things. And even though I knew it, I finally, when COVID shut everything down, I finally was like, this is silly. Like, I'm a grown adult. I can eat what makes me feel best. And it does. I feel so much better on a vegan diet. It just is the right choice for me. But again, I am, it's a planned out diet. I don't just eat, lettuce all day, every day, so that I'm lacking in nutrients, which I think is another thing that people say, oh, you're vegan, so then you only eat lettuce, right? Like,
Right.
no, that's not true. But I think you just have to step back for a minute and just also take time to listen to your body, right? I think, like you said, if you start going from eating 2 grams of fiber a day to 60 grams of fiber a day, you're going to feel awful, right?
Yeah.
Just is, it's not meant, you can't make changes like that so quickly. But I think just, like I said, working with your healthcare provider and being honest with them and being open to getting blood work done just to make sure that your levels of different nutrients are high, and focusing on, I think that's the biggest switch that we as a culture need to make, is focusing on nutrient dense foods. So foods that are low in calories but high in vitamins and minerals and fiber and things like that. The more we can focus on that and worry less about calories and sugar and other things, the better off we'll do. So the most nutrient dense foods are whole fruits, whole vegetables, whole grains, right? So yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's important.
I know it's such an interesting topic too, because there is so much food fear out there, and people are scared. They're scared to add more plants in, So
Yes.
they don't even do it. They don't even add more, and they just skip it. And eventually issues arise, and they're like, oh, maybe I should have, or whatever. So yeah, like going slow is super important. And like you said, the variety, getting more nutrient dense foods in a wider variety, so you can build your microbiome and you can get a wider range of nutrition.
Yeah.
Like you said, if you're just eating like lettuce, you're
Yes.
only getting what lettuce provides, right? Like, what about all the other fruits and all the other vegetables and all the other sprouts and things like that that you can include, that provide different combinations of things for you? And it's like they're like little puzzle pieces. Each food is a puzzle piece, and you have to have a variety of them to create the bigger picture. And Nate and I, it's funny when people are like, well, your diet, especially as a raw vegan,
Sure.
they're like, your diet is so limiting. And I think in my head, I'm like, I eat more variety now than I ever have in my entire life. Like Nate and I will eat, we made a list one time and it had 85 things on it that we eat every week.
I
Just,
believe it. I
it's
mean,
just, yeah.
I love seeing your food on Instagram because it's just so colorful. And that's, I mean, as a nutritionist, that's what I'm always trying to tell people is eat color, right? At any given meal, try and have two colors. And that's, again, like an easy, very sustainable goal, right? Like if you're not ready to make a huge switch, look at your plate at every meal and make sure that there are at least two different colors on your plate, right? So like breakfast, that's like raspberry and blueberries or strawberries and bananas, right? It's not, I'm not asking people to just overnight make the switch. And I think, again, that's what's so cool about this bundle is we've got all these different resources. So like your wraps, for example, are like so amazing and such an easy way. I mean, it thinks outside of the box, right? And you're eating your lettuce. I eat a ton of lettuce too.
Yep, yep.
It's not all that I eat, which is the, I think, misinformation out there. And food is complex. And I think that's the other reality is that unlike any other profession, like everyone eats multiple times a day. So it's a very complex topic. It's something that holds a lot of emotions, which I think most other things do not. There's cultural values. There's also a lot of different opinions. And then with the rise of the internet, you have to be cautious of, people who, even if they have good intentions, make others believe that they have a greater understanding than they actually do. And that can be really scary, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of confidence out there.
Yeah.
And the confidence comes across as being truth. So
Yeah.
learning to be discerning and questioning everything, like even whatever we say, like do your own research and look into it further and see like what we're saying holds truth. So go check it out and explore that a little bit more. And we've got doctors such as yourself in the bundle. We've got one of the really cool things in the bundle that I'm excited to watch is the legacy of Dr. McDougall.
Yeah.
Those videos are in there. So that's a really special contribution. And then we have the Live Your Best Life conference. Only the people who went to that conference got those videos, but Chef AJ shared them in this bundle. So there's that. There's like lots of video content in this bundle to learn from. There's tons of different recipe books. There's something for everybody. There's like lots of raw food stuff. There's lots of, other cooked food, vegan stuff, but it's all vegan. It's all oil free. And, we try our best to help you to find some delicious meals that you can try. Like try stuff out. Like I mean, no one's going to like everything, right? But, try some stuff. And if you don't like it, try a different recipe and find your favorites and start adding those into your weekly rotation. But yeah, it's so great that you're part of the bundle, and we're so grateful that you have joined us here on this live, and you're out there sharing the knowledge and helping people. It's awesome. So I wanted to thank you for that.
And thank you for inviting me. And I just, like I said, I love your work. Thank you for encouraging people to eat more colorful fruits and vegetables. I mean, you go through your feed and I feel like, how could you not be inspired to pick up a blueberry or a plum or some other brightly colored food? So thank you for that.
Oh, you're so welcome. I know the color is the way to go. And then the more color I can get in my food, the better.
Yeah.
As with everybody. So thank you so much. I hope that people go grab the bundle. The link is in either of our bios. So you can go to Family Meals First on Instagram and get the bundle from her link. You can get it from my link at Raw Food Romance, or you can get it if you're watching on YouTube. Click the link in the description box below and get the bundle. $49 gets you nearly $5,600 worth of downloads, and you get to download everything that's on the website. So it's a sweet deal. Go grab it now before it's gone. And thank you again, Carrie, for joining me today. You are such a lovely soul. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lissa. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.
Awesome. All right. See everybody later.